Good morning and happy Mother's Day. Today is Sunday, May 12th. And this morning we're going to play a little bit with downward facing dog variations. Downward dog is, we do this pose all the time in yoga classes. And we'll just go over a little bit of alignment for the shoulders and the hips and the head, and then we'll play with a couple different fun variations. So to set up your foundation for Adho Mukha Svanasana, the important part, there's so many important parts, but the first important part is to get your hands placed really well. So bring my hands up here for a second. All right. So a lot of times we'll really spread our fingers. I'm just going to show one hand. We'll spread the fingers like super wide where it gets to the point where, this is almost making the shape of a letter L and there's a lot of space between your fingers. And what is problematic about this kind of hand position is that it's hard to keep strength in your hand because your fingers are so spread out. So I suggest rather than making the L with thumb and forefinger, that you bring the fingers in a little closer and you make this more like the letter J. So J Ma for Mother's Day. And that way you have more accessibility to use your muscles. They're not so spread out. They're not already, dispersed. So you've got a little more control. You can grip a little more firmly with your hand. We want to root the finger pads, like underneath your fingernails, down into the floor. And also the roots of the fingers where your knuckles meet your palm. Those are the metacarpal knuckles. And it's important to keep those grounded because sometimes in down dog, those knuckles will lift up. And then when we're not using the whole palm, we're just kind of putting a lot of pressure on the wrist. And that's going to be uncomfortable over the long run. So we want to root pads of the fingers and roots of the fingers. And then another thing to just keep in mind, like very, very detailed alignment in the hand, is that you don't want the fingers kind of rolling out to the side where one edge of your fingernail is up higher than the floor than the other. You want to get them even. And even with the thumb, that's hard because the thumb will tend to kind of roll out to the side a little bit. So you want to really grip the mat as much as you can with all the finger pads. And you can think of a beautiful tree frog with the big bulbous pads at the ends of their toes. You just want to root those down. And we call this Hasta Bandha, so the hand lock. We're really pressing into four corners of the palm a lot evenly. So those are really rooting down. The center of your palm might actually lift up a little bit, but we got to keep the roots down and the center of the palm sort of like a little suction cup in there. Okay, so that's your hand. Then when you place your hands on your mat, let me just pretend I'm on my mat here. You want to line up the creases of your wrists parallel to the front edge of your mat, or you can just draw a straight line across from one hand to the other if you're not using a mat. And then the alignment, like how wide your hands should go, the center of your wrist should line up as wide as the outside of your shoulder. So center of the wrist, outer deltoid. So your hands are not too close together. Okay, so let's come to our mat and we'll set the hands. So we've got wrist creases parallel to the front edge of the mat. Centers of the wrists, outer shoulders distance wide, and a gentle spread through the fingers. I'm rooting finger pads, roots of the fingers, down into the floor. I'm getting a nice, like I'm just gripping my mat there. All right, then let's play a little bit with the hips. So we want to take your knees back about 3 inches so that they're not right underneath your hips, but slightly behind. Curl your toes under. And then play a little bit with like cat-cow here. We want to find a nice lumbar curve. So if you push the tops of your thighs back and roll your sitting bones up towards the sky, you got a good curve in the lumbar spine. Then you can add a little bit of cat, a little bit of tailbone energy down to help engage the abdominals. All right, so that's a good neutral position for the pelvis. Let's integrate the shoulders too, because when we come into downward dog, the heart is going to be weight bearing. The shoulders are going to be holding a lot of weight. So take a deep breath, lengthen through the ribs. So get a little bit longer from your hip to your shoulder. And then gently melt the heart down between your shoulder blades. Like not so much that there's a big collapse, but just enough so that there's a softening and you can feel the shoulder blades kind of lock into place on the back of your chest. Your head will stay in line with your spine, so we don't want to drop the head. We want to keep your neck in natural extension of the rest of your spine. And now we're so ready to go up. So pull up from the palms of your hands up into the heart, engage your arms, and we've got the alignment in the hips. We're just going to keep that as we lift the knees up, and then bring your head right between your upper arms and look down at the floor. Once you're in downward dog, I'm going to just move forward a little bit. We can refine the alignment a little bit. So sometimes the shoulders will tend to really collapse here. So we want to lift the upper arms away from the mat slightly, and then soften the heart down between the shoulder blades. Hug in strongly. You can bend your knees, reestablish your lumbar curve, and then as you straighten the legs, draw the tailbone down towards your heels. And this is a really nice aligned position. It should feel pretty strong and solid. Shouldn't feel like anything is collapsing towards the floor. All right, and you can hold that for several breaths, and then come down and rest. So we'll look at some other variations of down dog too. If down dog is a problem for your wrists, you can always do these variations in a dolphin position with your hands laced together. You would do all the same actions, right? The elbows would be your outer shoulders distance wide. You get your lumbar curve, the little tailbone, lengthen the side ribs, soften the heart space, and then lift up from here. Hello. All right, so that's the dolphin. So the variations of down dog that I thought we'd look at today are Ekapada, Adho Mukha Svanasana, one-legged dog. We'll take that over into the wild dog, and then we'll also play a little bit with a twisted variation of downward dog, which I like. It's kind of fun. So for one-legged dog, when you take the one leg up behind you, the tendency is that your leg will roll out a little bit. So we want to think of moving the inner thigh back first, faster than the outer thigh. And that's going to help us keep the hips balanced. And it will also help really tone the inner hamstrings. So we'll set our placement of our hands. Firm the arms. Lengthen the side ribs. Soften. Get the lumbar curve. Scoop the tail, inhale, go up. And I'm going to take my left leg up first. So I'm going to lift from the inner left thigh, reach the leg straight up and back. And the hip doesn't turn, the hips stay level. So my knee is still facing towards the floor, my toes are facing towards the floor. And I can extend here from the heart down into my hands. And from my heart, I can lift all the way up through my left foot. Then to come into the wild dog, this is where we would turn the hips. So you're going to turn your hips to the side, and the leg can go higher, higher. I'm going to look under my arm here so I can see what's going on. And then you can bend your knee, spread your toes, and open into a nice twist. So here you can either look over the shoulder or under the shoulder. And you want to try to keep the heart facing the mat, but the hips are open to the side, so it's a big twist through your upper body. And then come back to one-leg dog, roll your thigh in, bring your foot to the floor. And then same thing on the other side. Take your leg up, extend long from your heart down into the hands and fingers. From the heart, stretch and reach and lengthen through your foot. And then you can turn the hips, open it up, bend the knee, reach your foot over, wiggle your toes, shine out. So fun. Sometimes the shoulder will collapse, so it's important to keep both arms lifting away from the mat. And then come back to one-legged dog. Lower your foot down. And again, come on down. And take a little rest. Maybe go into a child's pose there. And then our last variation today will be a twisted dog pose. And this one's super fun. So I'm just going to do the one side. So you'll be able to see what it looks like, and then you can practice both sides on your own. So one more. Here we go. Down dog pose. I don't think this one will work in dolphin because you're going to need your arms. So we'll stick with up on the palms for this one. So let's take a breath and open to an opportunity to have a little bit of fun with our yoga here. And lengthen the side ribs, melt the heart, get the lumbar curve, draw the tail in, lift up. And then you'll take one foot, you can step it in a little bit, bend your knee. And then with your opposite hand, you reach back for the outer shin or ankle. And then you can walk that foot back a little bit and straighten your leg, and that pulls you over or under into a twist. Good. Pull into the heart. And from the heart, radiate joy, love, peace, happiness, fun, your exuberance. Woo! And then replace your hand. And then, oh, what the heck, let's do the other side. Bend your knee, reach your hand to your outer shin or ankle, step the foot back a little bit, and pull your body into your twist. Take a few breaths. And then place your hand, lower the knees to the mat, and come down into a comfy child's pose. All right, so those are a few downward dog variations. Hope you have fun with that. And namaste. I'll see you tomorrow.